Since I started making build guides, there's been one question I've been asked multiple times, but I really wasn't sure how to answer. Can you show me a heal build? Healing in Wizard101 is complicated, and oftentimes quite expensive. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to talk about that. I'm going to present this topic in 3 parts: how healing works, the healing spells, and how to build for healing. Healing has 4 statistical factors and 2 sources. The first 2 factors are incoming and outgoing. This works fairly straightforward. Outgoing, as the name implies, affects the modifier for heals produced by your wizard, whereas incoming heals modifies all heals that go toward your wizard. The calculations behind both match the calculations of blades and traps accordingly. The second 2 factors are critical and critical block. For many years, critical chance has been the sole factor for critical heals, however now block affects this calculation. Functionally, this works the same as critical hits. The higher critical increases total critical multiplier and likelihood, while block reduces the multiplier and decreases likelihood to critical. Heals now take into account your own critical and block rating of you and your team. So you may be wondering, doesn't that mean your own block is working against you? Yes. This is why critical heals are far less effective at the moment, especially as the best gear sets are giving huge chunks of critical block and very little incoming and outgoing. The 2 sources of healing are straightforward: heals generated by the wizard and heals generated by a pet may cast. Heals generated by the wizard are affected by all 4 factors, but pets from a pet are only affected by outgoing and incoming, yet not by critical and block. When we talk about healing, we need to establish the purpose, and then we can accordingly find the right strategies. Are you trying to solo quest but looking for the best way to keep yourself alive? Are you trying to support a team in a difficult fight? Most heal spells' effectiveness depends on circumstance. Spells like Grendel's Amends, Healing Current, Availing Hands, Regenerate, and Satyr are helpful in solo play. Their effectiveness peaks somewhere around Arc 2 before bosses do such high damage. Schools like Ice and Fire, and in many cases Storm and Myth, tend to rely on off-school heals and shields. Life Mastery becomes extremely helpful here. If you're healing and support, spells like Unicorn, Pixie, and Rebirth tend to be the most powerful. However, in a pinch or when lacking masteries, Satyr, Sacrifice, Grendel's Amends, and Helping Hands can be very useful. Also, don't forget alternatives to healing in the form of spells like Triage, Plague, and Shields. If you're early in the game, I'd recommend just wearing the best offensive gear. Once certain gear starts being obtainable, I'd consider getting it for a heal setup, especially if you're a support school. The best hybrid healing in Tankat is likely the Jade Hood. This does not provide the highest output possible, however it is very helpful in teams. Alternatively, Chrysanthemum's Crown, giving the most outgoing while retaining tanking stats. If you're determined to still run critical, both a Shard Warrior's hat, Spooky Carnival hat, is a good alternative. If you are Life or Ice in particular, the new Spiral Villains hats are very good at healing and give you pretty good stats for hitting. The hands down best robe in the game for healing is Spooky Carnival robe. It may not have the highest outgoing, but the combination of resist and outgoing is unparalleled. Jade is usable, however it's pretty ineffective as a healing option. If you're hitting, the Spiral Villains gear is very good. In fact, it may be the best robe for life at the moment. If you want the absolute most possible healing, the Rat robe is the absolute best, but only available for life. If you're not a life, either the Fairy Court Steel or any school's level 190 Zeus robe are great for outgoing healing. Jade boots are likely going to be the best boots for a healing build, as they give you a ton of resistance and a good amount of healing stats. For a good hitting option, Spiral Villains gear for Ice and Life is once again very effective. However, the absolute most outgoing will come from Green Warden's Peaceful Greaves. Zeus boots are also a great option, as well as many of the previously mentioned gear sets. I often see very mixed recommendations on wands. With the change to critical block, it has made some of them less powerful than others. If you're a life wizard, I'd just recommend the Sword of Kings. Otherwise, the Silver Order of the Spiral is quite strong. However, do note the block. This makes Harpoon of the Darksome Death pretty good. If you want something different, the Root of Spring is a powerful option that gives you an interesting Maycast Rebirth, allowing for unique gameplay. Alternatively, the Side Staff might be the best pick, as instead of giving outgoing, you get Pip and Accuracy, stats that often lack in heal setups. There are only 3 good options for Athames: Wolf's Emerald Talon, Cosmic Chris, and the retired Morgant Athames. The Emerald Talon gives you the most possible outgoing, but at the cost of pip chance. And the now retired Morgant Athame is not exactly something you can go for. So my recommendation is the Cosmic Chris with an outgoing jewel. If your method of healing requires life mastery, obviously you need one of those. You can get versions that could give extra helpful stats. For your life, the best option is either Uber for high resist or Zigzag Amulet for a tad bit extra outgoing. Both will be socketed with incoming jewels. The only ring I'd recommend is the Stone of the Other Side. It's just better than the rest in every way. Just remember to socket it. Alternatively, if you really want a critical, the Tetris Ringlet of Purpose is pretty good for that goal. This doesn't really matter, but you can make sure to have the right jewel pip slot, and note that pip conversion can be useful if you already had some for odd pip heals. There is only one real healing mount, and that is the Mini Mammoth. It's dropped from the final boss of the Jeweled Slopes in Polaris. If you're missing Pip, the Rock, or the Witch's Hut, are both good, of course. Pets can go many ways, but personally I'd recommend double resist, double healing buffs, and the rest could be make cast heals or other health related buffs. If you're just solo, you might want a double triple 2.0 or a full resistance pet. So that's how I'd build a healer. If this helped you in any way, you should hit the like and subscribe button. It would mean a lot. Thank you, and bye bye.